Hello and welcome. Today, we're diving into the rules of positive parenting, and our guide is the wonderful Neelam Talreja, founder of Mindseed Tutorials. With years and years of experience helping students succeed, she really knows her stuff, combining passion with techniques that just work. So, let's get started with a question that really gets to the heart of it all.
So, I want you to just take a second and think about this. How often do you find yourself connecting with your child versus correcting them? Is your day filled with, don't do that, stop that, or did you finish your homework? That balance, that simple ratio between connecting and correcting is honestly the key to unlocking a much more positive and effective way of parenting.
Okay, so our first and honestly our most important rule is all about building a foundation of trust. Everything else we talk about today, it all rests on this one simple idea. It's the bedrock of positive parenting.
So how do we actually build that trust? Well, it kind of boils down to three core pillars. First, and this is a non-negotiable, absolutely no abuse or violence. Look, discipline is crucial, but it has to be delivered without making your child afraid. Second, you've got to build a real, genuine connection. That means playing with them, talking to them, and actually listening. And third, always, always live by your word. If you say you'll be home in an hour, be home in an hour. It's that consistency that builds their confidence in you.
And this right here is exactly why that trust is so critical. Lying, hiding things, being deceitful, these behaviors don't pop up because a child has bad morals. They come from fear. It's that simple. When a kid feels safe and trusts you completely, they've got no reason to hide the truth. They'll tell you what's really going on because they know you're there to help, not just to punish.
This leads us perfectly into our second big rule, the environment. We have to create an atmosphere that's calm, not stressful, because stress has a direct biological impact on a child's brain and their ability to learn anything at all.
Now check this out, because this is fascinating. Think of the brain in two parts. When a child is stressed, their lower brain takes over. That's the impulsive, fight or flight, reactive part of the brain. And when that's active, the learning centers literally shut down. They can't learn. For a child to actually learn and solve problems, they need to be using their upper brain, the rational thinking part. And guess what? That only happens when they're calm and feel safe.
This analogy just says it all, right? When a child is already stressed out about school, adding more pressure, punishing them, scolding them, making threats, it just makes everything worse. Think about parents who stop their kids' hobbies during 10th grade exams. That is completely counterproductive. Those hobbies are what help the child de-stress and get back into their upper brain. Stress actually damages the very parts of the brain you're trying to activate for learning and memory.
So, what do you do when your child is having a full-blown tantrum and is deep in their lower brain? The absolute first step is to manage your own reaction. If you get triggered and react from your lower brain, you just create this endless cycle of drama. Instead, stay calm. Don't engage with the yelling and screaming. Then, start asking questions. Why are you so angry? What happened with your friend? This gently forces them to access their upper brain and start to regulate themselves.
And this brings us right to our third rule, the method. See, positive parenting isn't just about managing your child's behavior. It's about managing your own and leading by example. This is one of the most powerful truths in parenting, period. You can give all the lectures in the world, but your kids are watching you. Constantly. They're learning from what you do, not what you say. So if you tell them not to lie, but then they overhear you telling a little white lie on the phone, well, what lesson do you think they're really learning?
Consistency is really the glue that holds all of this together. Kids notice everything, how you talk to your partner, how you handle your own anger. If you get frustrated and go into another room to take a few deep breaths, you're modeling a healthy way to cope. And when both parents are on the same page, enforcing the same rules, it creates this predictable, safe environment that is absolutely crucial for a healthy, developing brain.
Okay, and finally, let's talk about the parent's internal mindset. This is all about prioritizing your connection with your child over some impossible illusion of perfection.
We have to be so careful to avoid these really common but damaging psychological traps. Using guilt, saying things like, because you didn't get good marks, now grandma's mad at me. That places a completely unfair emotional burden on a child. Same goes for fear-based threats. These tactics don't teach any meaningful lessons. They just chip away at a child's sense of security over time. This, right here, this is the crucial takeaway. So many well-meaning parents, especially if they've put their own careers on hold, can accidentally turn their child into a full-time project. But that puts this immense pressure on the child to perform and live up to someone else's expectations. They start to feel responsible for their parents' happiness. Remember, a child is like a flower bud. You can't force it to bloom on your schedule. You have to let them follow their own path of growth. Now, after hearing all of this, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed. I get it. But here's a final piece of advice. If you can follow even 50% of these principles, you are doing an amazing job. Seriously. This isn't about being perfect, it's just about being intentional and staying connected.
Thank you so much for watching. For any personalized guidance and some expert tutoring, please don't hesitate to reach out to Mindseed Tutorials today.